All right, let's dive in. Today, we're tackling a huge topic, the incredibly complex world of supply chain regulations. If you're a procurement professional, you already know that getting a handle on this isn't just a nice to have, it is absolutely essential for your success.
So, let me ask you this right off the bat. Is your strategy really ready for what's coming? Because this is the new frontier of supply chain management. We're talking about a world where regulations are no longer just bureaucratic red tape. They're actively reshaping the entire game, turning compliance from a chore into a core strategic advantage. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of what you need to do, we've got to take a step back and understand the fundamental why behind all this. Why do these incredibly complex rules even exist in the first place? Well, at its very core, it's all about control and stability. Governments and international groups, they set up these rules to manage how goods and services flow across borders. And the end goal? It's to create a predictable, fair, and safe environment where global trade can actually thrive.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Just look at the sheer range of reasons for these controls. It's so much more than just money. Of course, you've got the expected ones, right? Protecting local businesses, keeping the economy stable, but it goes way deeper. We're talking about national security, making sure products are safe, protecting our planet, and this is a big one, upholding ethical standards. Preventing trade in goods made with forced labor, which is exactly what laws like the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act in the US are all.
Okay, so with that foundation in mind, let's break this massive topic down into 5 manageable chunks. For any procurement pro out there, these are the 5 key arenas where you're either going to win or lose on compliance.
So here they are, the big 5. First, you've got your traditional international trade regulations, all your tariffs and customs. Then there's the one that's exploding right now, ESG, which covers everything from carbon emissions to human rights. Third, the absolute non-negotiables, product safety and quality. Fourth, a massive headache in our digital world, data privacy. And finally, the very foundation of good business, anti-corruption rules. To really grasp the scale of those international trade rules, just look at this number, 76%. That's how much of all world trade happens inside global supply chains. That means the vast majority of stuff moving around our planet is tangled up in a complex web of import/export laws and trade deals. It's huge.
Next up, let's zoom in on ESG, starting with the E for environmental. The transportation sector, the engine that powers our supply chains, is a massive source of greenhouse gas emissions. I mean, look at that, 29% in the US alone. This is exactly why environmental rules are getting tougher and why sustainable procurement is no longer just some buzzword. It's a business imperative. And then you have the S for social. And this number, wow, 450 million people. That's the human heart of the global supply chain. This puts a massive, and I mean massive, responsibility on every single organization to make sure that labor standards are ethical and human rights are protected all the way down the line. Now, what about product safety? Well, the stakes for getting this wrong are incredibly high. Take this example. A major retailer in the US got hit with a fine of over $1 million. Why? For illegally dumping hazardous stuff like batteries and pesticides. It's a crystal clear reminder that not following the rules comes with a very hefty price tag. Let's switch gears to the digital world, data privacy. This quote comes from the analysis of that massive Capital One data breach, and honestly, it should send a chill down the spine of every company today. The weak link, the thing that broke everything, it wasn't even inside their own building. The fallout was just devastating. Personal data from over 100 million customers got exposed. The fine was $80 million. And here's the absolute kicker. The vulnerability wasn't on them. It was on a third-party vendor in their supply chain. This is all the proof you need that under laws like GDPR, your vendor's security is your security, period. And finally, anti-corruption. This is all about integrity. And if you want to see a great example of a company being proactive, look at Adidas. They don't just cross their fingers and hope their partners are honest. No way. They enforce a really detailed supplier code of conduct, and they do regular audits to make sure their supply chain stays clean. It's absolutely vital for staying on the right side of tough laws like the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. Okay, so we've mapped out the regulatory landscape. But what does all of this actually mean for your day-to-day operations? How do these abstract rules actually create real-world challenges for you? This table really helps connect the dots. Think about it. A new national security role can mean you have to find all new suppliers overnight, which adds a ton of complexity. Tighter quality standards, that's going to slow everything down with more inspections. Tariffs? Well, that's an easy one. Your costs go up. And more focus on ethics means more people looking over your shoulder and more money spent on compliance. Every single rule has a ripple effect. So, if you had to name the single biggest challenge that ties all this together, what would it be? It's third-party risk. Your supply chain isn't some neat little line from point A to B. It's a sprawling, messy, multi-layered web of third, fourth, even 10th parties. And every single one of those connections is a potential point of failure, which just blows up your company's exposure to risk. Now, I know this can all feel a bit overwhelming, but it really doesn't have to be. There is a clear way to manage this. So let's open up the playbook and look at the strategic best practices every single procurement professional needs to know. Okay, here are 5 essential actions. Number 1, do your homework. Comprehensive due diligence before you sign anything. 2, set crystal clear standards and write them into your contracts. 3, this is not a set it and forget it deal. You need to be monitoring constantly. 4, work with your vendors. Make them partners in this. And finally, number 5, have a backup plan because you have to be ready for when things go wrong. Honestly, you could think of this as the new job description for a modern procurement professional. Your role has grown so far beyond just sourcing and pricing. Now it's about building ethical policies, diving deep into risk assessments, and running audits. It's about training your people and working with your partners to create real transparency. This is your toolkit for winning in the new world of supply chain management. So let's wrap it up with this. Getting compliance right isn't just a defensive move to avoid getting fined. It's a proactive, strategic opportunity. It's how we build the transparent, tough, and ethical supply chains that are going to define the future of global business. So the only real question left is, are you ready to lead that charge?